Yes, as you saw, I'm selling my tractor, but I'm getting a new one. So I decided that I wanted to upgrade to the 3033R. I've got the 3033E. E stands for economy, R is the premium line of tractors. A lot of it had to do with bucket lifting. But I figured before I get rid of this one, and I don't have my new one yet, the dealer's still getting it ready, I'd do a comparison of the highs and the lows of the 3033E compared to the 33R. With what I think, and this is only from using it for 2 years. So we'll go through this tractor and let you know the good and the bad. We'll start with the good. This tractor had plenty of power. I never wanted more power. 33 horsepower, it's really the same motor. The only horsepower rating difference is because they changed the transmission in it, so it's got more horsepower coming through the transmission and the driveline. Same motor, no trouble with the motor. The motor started every time. The emissions piece of it, not a big deal. Every now and then I'd start to smell like a metallic smell with it, and that would mean it was getting close to needing to regen, but I'd wait, the light would kick on, I'd turn the idle up, say 1200 RPMs, let it sit, 20 minutes later, it's good. It would kind of get like a hiccup in it, like a when it was doing it. Not a big deal, it'd burn off, no problem with that. 32E, they've got the fuel tank on the back of the tractor. You can fill it right there, not a big deal, you don't make a mess. If it does, it doesn't go all over the tractor. The whole back of the tractor, behind the seat, fuel tank. It's perfect, it's out of the way, it's easy. As a matter of fact, it's the same spot on the cab 33R. However, on the 33R, they got smart again, you know. I mean, why reinvent the wheel? Because you get paid to do it. That's what an engineer thinks. They've got it on top of the hood in front of the steering wheel on the 33R. Dumb. Why would you put it there? It doesn't make any sense. Now you've got to climb up over the front of your tractor with a fuel can. You've got to pour it in. You're going to pour fuel all over your tractor because these, again, engineers that came up with these new fuel cans, these guys are wicked smart, but they make dumb decisions because these fuel cans, all they do is spill now. So now you end up with more spills but less fumes, which best I can tell is bad for the environment both ways, and it gets my tractor all dirty. Again, dumb. So they've got the 33R has it up here. 32E is on the back. By far the way to go is on the back. Makes total perfect sense to have it there. So I really needed more lifting power. The trouble is this tractor lifts exactly what it's supposed to. It just doesn't lift what I want it to. The main reason I went with a John Deere when I bought one, the 2-touch pedal. That thing is worth its weight in gold. It's just 2 pedals, it's easy, it's comfortable. You don't think about it. You don't have your leg cramped back like the Kubotas. I've got a Kubota dealer 3 miles away, and I'll drive further for John Deere parts and pieces than I will to have my leg cramped like that. Now, first got the tractor, it's too light. I did load the rear tires with rim guard, made a huge difference. If you buy a tractor, load the rear tires with rim guard, the first thing you do. Don't do calcium. It rots out the rims and the valve stems. The stuff is garbage, but it's cheap. Don't do it, spend the extra money. This added like 600 pounds, I think, something like that. Made a huge difference, and then I'd put 700 pounds of counterweight on the back. World of difference. I did add the block heater to it. Comes out there, it's up on the side. I've never had trouble with the tractor starting. Granted, I'm not going out with 10 below and starting it, but I've never had trouble with it. But for $66, I'd put it in myself. Cheap insurance. That's all it is, an insurance policy. I can plug it in if I really need to, if I ever need it. I probably won't, but again, cheap insurance. Switches on the side. So over here on the right console, 3 switches. PTO, and then there was 2 blank spots. Those blank spots is where I put my snowblower control so I can control my snowblower. It spins around. It's a great spot, works perfect. easy to use. And all I did was pull the power off of my 12-volt cigarette lighter. Now, as you've seen in the past, I did add LED floodlights to my tractor. One on the front facing forward, and then I added 3 on the back. One up top, and that one points pretty straight down, and then 2 out to the side. Reason for that, snow blowing. I wanted to be able to see the snow blower, plus I wanted to be able to see out to the sides. The only thing is, I wish I'd put the top one kind of maybe angled backwards a little bit more, so it was like aiming at the back of the snowblower, but I Loctited them in, and I wasn't going to tear it out to do that, so I just left it. Other than that though, I can see everything. This thing puts out like daylight when I'm out doing stuff. Is a 2-speed transmission, high and low. I really only ever used it in low. It did enough to get around the yard. If I was going someplace, I'd throw it in high. Not a big deal. The 33R is a 3-speed transmission. Everyone says you just run it in mid-range and you don't have any trouble with it. Jury's out on that one. I didn't think I'd like the loader up on the front. It's up kind of out of the way. You have to reach for it. I actually kind of like it there. It doesn't have a lot of throw to it. I can get on and off the tractor on both sides. That's really the big thing, is on and off the tractor, so that I don't have to go back and forth. But it doesn't have super fine adjustment. It's not the greatest. It's okay. Now, when you get the economy, you definitely get cheaper. One of the ways they cheapen this up is they went with an aluminum rear end and chassis. It doesn't have the steel rear end. Not a big deal for homeowner stuff, light work, but I saw a picture where someone broke their tractor in half. Granted, it had a few thousand hours on it, so it's had some work and probably seen some rough work. But something that really made me nervous about having a tractor long term, when this thing breaks and then they're gonna go, not my problem, because it's probably gonna break after the warranty. Another miss, a huge miss. Engineers go to school for a long time to become really smart, but they do really dumb things when it comes to designing things. One of them being 4-wheel drive engagement on the 32E. They put this in a spot that makes 0 sense. So it's right down by where your foot would be. It had a T-handle on it. Well, having snow pants on, snow blowing, my snow pants caught it, ripped it off. Not a big deal, you can still grab it, you can pull it up, push it down with your foot. But why they put it where your foot's gonna catch it with your pants? Stupid move. Another miss, that it's because it's cheap, they've got these threaded adjustments for the side to side. On your 3-point. Those things are a pain in the ass. On my snowblower, I didn't want it swaying back and forth or side to side when I'd be moving or turning, so I'd have to tighten them up. When I had my counterweight on, I didn't want that thing jacking to the side. What a pain having to get in there and tighten them up with a wrench. There's just no good way, and then those things suck. Another one, when you go to get a parts kit for this tractor, they only show one fuel filter. There's 2, and the dealers don't know it. You have to bring them out, find one in the yard, and show it to them. So you've got a fuel filter here. That one's right behind the axle. But they don't tell you that when you come around underneath your step where your pedals are, there's one up here. So I was talking to some buddies, they're pretty big diesel guys, and this doesn't make much sense, because you've got one coming out of the tank, then another one, but you can't put it in between your injector pump and the injectors because it's not a high pressure filter. It just blows the seal out. So why they've got 2 plus the water separator, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. They're not in terrible spots. They're really protected. Not a big deal. Just one of those things. Know that there's 2 fuel filters on this. On the 32E, controls up here for your lights. All the difference in the world. Up there, easy to reach. It works. Why are we still putting halogen light bulbs in tractors? It's 2022, John Deere. Figure this out. It doesn't spend a lot more money for you to do that, and it makes a world of difference. I upgraded to the LED headlights. Totally worth it for like 60 bucks. John Deere could have done that. But again, they're pretty smart. Now, I'm not gonna be able to show you now because I don't have my new one yet, but I'll put some side by sides, and there's a huge difference in the lifting and the dumping cylinders between the two tractors. The other thing that's kind of nice is it's an easy park loader, so I can take it off, it stands up by itself, not a big deal. Whereas this one, the loader's fixed, just the bucket comes off. I really don't have anything bad to say about the 32E. A great tractor, definitely the economy model, no doubt about it. So lifting was my big one. I wanted the heavier tractor with the steel frame, steel rear end, just for making it easier. It also has a pinnable 3-point hitch for the sway. That one, I can show you when I get that tractor. The other piece that really it comes down to, I wanted the 33R. I wanted it when I bought this one. I was cheap. I didn't want to spend the money. And now I regret it. I was told on the 2023s, they're going to be $44,000. Now, let's go over the 33R. All right, we're back. Look what I got. That's the new tractor. So at first glance, the tractors look pretty much the same until you really start looking close, and you can see a lot of big differences on this tractor. So I'm going to kind of go through them as when I first walked up to it, what I first noticed. The first one that I noticed is really the size of the lifting rams and the bucket dumping rams that are on this tractor compared to the 33E. These things are at least an inch bigger in diameter. So that equals a lot more lift and power. Lift and power is really one of the things I needed. I've already used it once, moved a cage tank full of firewood, and it didn't even flinch. Whereas the other one, it used to not like a full cage tank. So already a big improvement on that. It's gonna make my job easier because then I don't have to put too much in, take some out so that I can move it. Wonder if when I get it close, I'm gonna be able to get it up high enough to get it into the basement or whatever else I'm moving to be able to get a pallet of glass out of the truck. It's just going to make my life easier having a loader that can really do what I need it to. Removable loader. This is one that not really something that I need a lot, but it's going to make things handier. And when I say make things handier, some of it is the service work. Now, changing the oil on these, not a huge deal, or the fuel filters. But if you take the loader off, then everything gets easier because all this linkage comes out of the way. By getting that out of the way, then there's just a post right here that it clips onto out of the way. The oil filter, that's pretty accessible. It's right there, not a big deal. Fuel water separator, pretty well protected. It does appear that it's out in the open, but you're gonna have to have a stick come over the top of the axle or come up underneath from the underside and hit it. So it's pretty well protected. But there is a second fuel filter that's in behind this panel. Kind of a pain to get to. You can do it, you got to weasel around. Gonna make a little bit more of a mess when you do it. So I'll probably take the loader, at least pick it up off out of the way, and then I can get into that side panel. Hydraulic connections right here. They're easy to get to, they're out of the way. They're all color coded. Makes it easy to where it's just plug and play. Just unhook them, hook them back up to the right color when you're ready to put it back on. Now, you wouldn't think that guards on a bucket are a big deal. Well, more so on the loader. Here, they are. Those hydraulic lines that go over to the cylinders on the left side are protected. On the 33E, they weren't. They were just open, held on there with a couple zip ties. Much better design because you're always gonna have something that falls off and hits it. Checking the oil on this one is actually easier. It's right in the open. You can see to be able to put the dipstick back in. The other one, you either had to have a flashlight or work by braille. So another one that just a little improvement. This bucket has a removable cutting edge. The other one did not. So basically when you wore it down, you'd have to go and have a new one welded on. This one, it's removable. As you know, on my 33E, I had hooks mounted on the bucket for lifting. Now, a lot of people will take and they'll put the hook right in the center. I don't. I put them on the edge. All that is a weld-on hook. By putting it on the sides, you've got more strength there so it doesn't collapse the center of the bucket. If you need to lift off the center, you just put a loop in the chain, have it go between the two down the center of the bucket, you're all set. So those will go on in a few weeks. It's kind of one of those, when I've got time to get it down to the fab shop, I'll probably just bring the bucket. I won't bring the whole tractor. As you can see, no fuel tank here. It's just open. Yeah, the visibility is a little bit better, but not a huge improvement. John Deere, geniuses at work some days. Here's the fuel up here. So to put fuel in, you've got to climb up and then stand here, pour the fuel in. Fuel goes all over all this stuff because we've got those new engineered cans that, well, fuel goes everywhere because they leak more than the old ones do, but well, you remember. They missed on that. Independent brake control, the old one didn't have that on the 32E. The 33R does. So if you get around something, you can push on one brake. You push on one brake, it locks up that tire. You twist around whatever you're trying to do, and then, or you just run the two. I leave them hooked together all the time. It's just a simple lever. By leaving them hooked together, you hit the brakes, everything stops the same. When you do need that, that's when I'd flip that. So, key. In the same spot, but this one's recessed a little bit. But I just noticed I've already bent it because you catch it when you try and get on and off the tractor. They could put it someplace out of the way. It's not a great spot, but it works. The nice thing about the 33R, you don't need to put the tractor in neutral. Reach down, still in gear. Let the computer warm up. That's how a lot of the emissions problem happen. And then you just start it. Remember, I didn't like where my four-wheel drive engagement was down below. Now, four-wheel drive's up here. It's just a lever that goes up, lever that goes down. The lever could be shorter. Get it out of the way a little bit. Parking brake is here. Kind of like the other one. Doesn't have a whole lot of throw to it, but you don't really need it. And then down here, that's where the differential lock is. You just step on it with your heel, pushes down, engages your two rear tires so that they both turn the same. You kind of get hung up. That's where that is. It's a nice cast iron piece of metal. That thing's not going to break. It'll hold up to the beating that it takes. The 32E 2-speed transmission, high and low. This one has the 3-speed transmission, A, B, and C. So low, neutral, medium, and high. Like everyone says, you just leave it in medium or B, and it really does everything that I need around the yard. I was moving the dump trailer. I put it in low just to get up the grade because it doesn't have a lot of torque there, but for most yard work, it's perfectly fine. Suspension seat. I didn't think I'd notice it. What a difference when you're going down into the woods, just going up into the barn. When I go up over the lip onto the concrete, just that little bit makes it a lot less stress on your back. Loader control is here. Now, I like it because I don't have to reach for it. It's comfortable. I do kind of wish it had an armrest. I kind of feel like I'm always dropping down, but you've got a lot more control over it here. You can still go too fast pretty easy. It's got, you know, your curl closed, your curl open, up, down, and then you can click it forward into float. Same thing, just a different spot with an ergonomical handle. It does have the spot that you can put a thumb control for a third function if you wanted it. I probably will someday, but not right now. Now, the one downside to that is getting off on that side. 32E, it was easier. You could weasel around that. I do get on and off the tractor on both sides. Now I just need to pay attention a little bit more so I don't hit this with my butt, make the loader do something, especially if I've got something in the air. When I do have something in the air, I generally get off the other side so I don't have to worry about that. 3-point hitch control is in the same spot. PTO engagement for the back. And then you've also got these fancy controls here. Now, auto throttle, what that does is when you push the pedal, it automatically, the RPMs go up and you move. You don't have to turn the throttle up manually. So I leave that one in all the time. Then auto with the gear, what that one's doing is it's taken, so when you've got the PTO engaged, it keeps the power at a constant once you hit that. So if you start bogging down with a snowblower or pulling an implement of a tiller, it will slow you down automatically to where the gears, the speed can catch up. max, that just puts you at a max speed so that you can't go faster than that. Cruise control, you hit the button and then you set it, then you can lower your speed, increase your speed, or if you do something to stop, hit the brakes or whatever, you just hit resume and you're back to speed. That one, like if you're bush hogging a field, if you're running, say, a disc behind you, something like that, or you've got some sort of a mower on where you just want to maintain it constant, you don't want to have to worry about the pedal, just use the cruise control. Most everything I do probably won't. When I do snowblow though, I will have the auto power in to where that way if I get into some heavy snow where I haven't been, it just slows me down. I don't have to worry about letting off the pedal. The dial, it controls how fast you go when you take off and then coast to a stop. Most people keep it right in the middle. I didn't like that. I didn't feel like it was responding the way I wanted it to, so I went over and I run it almost one click from the right. And what that does is it gives me the response with the pedal that I'm looking for. I do a lot of short movements, moving stuff around, that type of thing. So that one works for me so far. Now, when I bought the tractor, I didn't realize that there was an electronic control for the hydrostatic transmission on the 33R. I just thought it was going to be a mechanical linkage like the 32E. You push on the pedal, it moves the bars, changes the valves in the transmission. This one's not. This is an electronic control. That's how they're able to get the cruise control. That's how they're able to do the e-throttle. You push on the forward pedal, RPMs go up, tractor goes forward. You let off, hit the reverse pedal, idle goes up. So it's a little bit different. It doesn't respond like the 32E did. This one, the electronics, you can tell, have to work a little bit. That's part of the reason why that speed control, where it speeds up slow or coasts, is adjusted down, because it tightens up those tolerances. Whereas if I was, say, working in the field more where I could coast down, and it wouldn't be a big deal, but around buildings, stuff like that, I don't want to coast. On the back, this 3-point hitch is definitely more rugged, it's beefier, it does a lot more, but the arms are different than my old one. So as you can see, all cast iron links. You've got the adjustment, you just pull that up, you can adjust it to get your side to side angle right. It's still got the latch to hold up your third link, but down here you've got the pins you can pull. That way you can adjust the sway, you can pull it out so that it sways as you want it. Here's one that they put on this tractor that's a huge win. On the draw link, they actually integrated in tie down loops so you can chain down on. The old one didn't have that. You either put a pin, or I had a clevis through the drawbar, something like that you could tie the tractor down. This one has built-in chain hooks, way better design. This tractor came with loaded tires. Rim guard already in them. That was something that the dealer did. I can't say as though I'm overly impressed with my dealer, but I can't say as though I'm not impressed. I did switch from United to Hall Implement in Windham, and that was more so reputation based. They loaded the tires before I got it. They included the first oil change, filter oil, as well as a quart of transmission oil. So that's something United didn't do. Another little perk to dealing with a smaller dealership is they're anticipating what you're going to need, so it's already done when you get it. Now, I've only put a couple hours on the tractor. Highs and lows. Fuel system, terrible. Put the fuel tank on the back where it belongs so you don't dump fuel over your tractor. Everyone knows that. Still came with halogen headlights. I've got the replacements for LEDs. It's 2022, John Deere. It's time for LED headlights. This isn't rocket science here. You don't even need to change the fixture. Just put a different bulb in it. The electronic hydrostatic control. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I'm going to have to get used to it. And I'm okay with that because it's something new, but I get the electronic throttle. I wasn't a big fan of having to turn the throttle up every time so that I could move and go do something. And then remember when you get off for 2 seconds to turn it back down, put it back up when you get back on. This way, I run it in the e-throttle. The dealer did say that I'm going to have more regens because of that, because I don't get the high heat. But I had a handful of regens before because of what I'm doing with it. It works better for me. I just push the pedal and it goes. Tire size is the same. It has a different number on it, but what it is, 33R has a 6-ply tire. The 32E had a 4-ply tire. A miss. From the operator's seat, the visibility to the bucket is very poor compared to the 32E. You look down, it's hard to see the bucket from either side. Some of that is to do with the linkage. The loader arms are more stout. There's the linkage for the removable loader arms, that type of thing. On the right side, there is the bucket level indicator. All those things combined make it hard to see. You can lean out and kind of see, but when the bucket jumps off whatever you're pushing on, like a stump, you hit your head on one of these. I did it the first day I had the tractor. It didn't feel so great. If they could improve the visibility looking down to the bucket, that would be huge. The benefits of the R over the E far outweigh the price. If you're looking to buy a tractor, buy the R. It's worth it every day.